All right, I call the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees for January 27th, 2021 to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Will the acting town clerk please call roll?
Trustee Rodriguez.
Here.
Trustee Meisner.
Here.
Trustee Wakeman.
Here.
Trustee Trailer. Oh, she's absent, sir. Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich.
Here.
And Mayor Austin.
Here. Does anyone have any additions or deletions to the agenda? I have two.
Okay.
Under discussion item, want to add camera at the dog park. And second item will be discussing the planning commission members. Anybody have anything else? Okay, I'll take a motion.
I move to approve the agenda as noted.
I second that.
Acting town clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Wakeman.
Yes.
Trustee Meisner.
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich.
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you. Do we have any citizens' comments? Anybody that wants to address the board? We'll skip that little spiel and move right on to the swearing-in ceremony conducted by acting town clerk Carrie Reinberger.
So we'll start with Melda, if you could join me, please. For your first appointment, the town board would like to welcome you to the Great Outdoors or Goat Mill Committee. If you could raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and your name,
I, Melda,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support and enforce
that I will support and enforce
the constitutions and laws of the United States of America
the Constitution and laws of the United States of America
and the state of Colorado
and the state of Colorado
and the ordinance of the town of Milliken,
and the ordinance of the town of Milliken,
and shall faithfully perform,
and shall faithfully perform
to the best of my abilities,
to the best of my abilities
the duties of the Great Outdoors of Milliken Committee
the duties of the great outdoors of Milliken Committee
of the town of Milliken.
of the town of Milliken.
Congratulations. And if you want to stay, and then we'll have Kaylee join us. The board would like to appoint both of you to our planning commission. Congratulations. Melanie, you'll be seating as a commissioner, and they've asked Kaylee to serve as an alternate. You guys could both raise your right hand. I, and state your name,
I, Melda McGowan,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support and enforce
that I will support and enforce
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States of America
of the United States of America
and the state of Colorado
and the state of Colorado
and the ordinances of the town of Milliken,
and the ordinances of the town of Milliken,
and shall faithfully perform,
and shall faithfully perform
to the best of my abilities,
to the best of my abilities
the duties of a planning commissioner
the duties of a planning commissioner
of the town of Milliken.
of the town of Milliken.
Congratulations, thank you, and we'll have you guys sign these. Okay. You guys can be seated.
Welcome, ladies.
If I could have Eric Becker and Mr. Peter Cohen, please. Congratulations, the town board would like to welcome you to your appointment to the Housing Authority. If you could raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name,
I, Aaron,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support and enforce
that I will support and enforce
the Constitution and laws of the United States of America
the constitutions and laws of the United States of America
and the state of Colorado
and the state of Colorado
and the ordinances of the town of Milliken,
and the ordinances of the town of Milliken,
and shall faithfully perform
and shall faithfully perform
to the best of my abilities
to the best of my abilities
the duties of the Housing Authority
the duties of the Housing Authority
of the town of Milliken.
of the town of Milliken.
Thank you and congratulations.
Welcome, gentlemen. Okay, Next item on the agenda, and great job, Carrie. Is there any discussion or comments on the minutes of January 13th, 2021? And we'll hold off on the motion until Carrie makes it back.
Okay.
Acting Town Clerk, there are no comments on the meeting minutes of January 13th. I'll take a motion.
I move to approve the minutes from January 13th, 2021.
I second it.
Acting Town Clerk, please take a vote.
Trustee Wakeman,
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
Trustee Meisner,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich,
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions or comments on the paid list of bills?
I do.
For the month?
I do.
Alrighty. Trustee Rodriguez.
Hi, Wade. Good evening. Just a quick question. With Napa, it looks like we had $4,420 in repairs. Do you know what that was for?
So that is various repairs. So that we go there for parts for plows, equipment, pickups, lawnmowers. It's not one repair. It's just lots of little pieces of stuff, and that's I believe that was a 2-month bill on that one.
Okay.
It may not have been. It may have just been one. But yeah, we spent a lot of money just keeping our stuff fixed ourselves from Napa.
And I thought I seen on here a broken window on a piece of equipment, but I can't find it.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Do you know
Under
what?
Moffett.
Moffett, thank you. What was that in reference to, or what happened?
I'm trying to remember on that one.
They're conferring.
See, yeah, it was.
I didn't hear you.
Trying to find it. I apologize.
It's okay.
Tell them it's Moffett.
I think Linda, Trustee Meisner, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's all right.
Said it was under Moffett.
Well,
She
yeah,
thought
because
it
I
was under
saw it
Moffett.
earlier. But I don't see it
Yeah,
now.
I'm trying to.
But I do believe it was Moffett.
I want to say it was like $1,200 or $1,600. I can't remember off the top of my head, and I'm not seeing it on here anymore.
It's more likely a skid loader, cab door, and that's actually a poly plexiglass.
Yeah,
So
because
it's really soft door, so if something hits it, it won't shatter anymore. We had the tempered glass in it, and every time a rock hits up, it would actually crack or break it. You could actually break it shut sometimes. So we upgraded to a poly, which is actually a polycarbonate, which is a lot more sturdy, supposed to take more impacts, plus scratch resistant. So
Okay.
basically, a glass door would cost us $800, where we went to $1,200, where we're hoping to have less replacements. So
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
I did see it earlier.
Any other questions? Okay,
Thank you, Wade.
Thanks.
thank you. Next item on the agenda is the Town Administrator's Report. Administrator Powell.
Thank you, Mayor. I've got kind of a lengthy report. Part of this is there's been a lot going on. Been very busy. The one item I want to bring up initially is the streets and the ice removal. That one's kind of a twofold. We've received many compliments from a lot of residents regarding the ice removal from in front of their properties, areas where the sun doesn't hit, and the ice might melt a little bit during the day, during the warmer parts, and then freeze back up. And a lot of times what the ice will do is go up onto the sidewalk area. And you can fight that all you want. I do the same thing at my dad's house, and it doesn't go away because it keeps melting and coming back. Anyway, our Public Works crew went out and had been cleaning up the ice around town. We also received a complaint regarding it, that there was damage to the roads due to this. And so I have talked to Scott, who is our streets director, and I'm going to have him explain some of the damage that did occur. And if you have any questions regarding it, you certainly can talk to me or to Scott. But do you want me to hand down these pictures?
Set two, if you want to pass a couple sets.
Okay.
I will also, the product we're talking about, I will pass the piece that broke off and actually has a representation of the damage that was being caused by what we were doing, if you'd like to see it or not. It shows the length, shows the depth of the treatment that was done to the road also, so it is kind of a twofold learning thing.
The
kind of helps you-
microsurfacing?
It helps you understand what the microsurfacing looks like and what it does, so.
And unfortunately, I was spoken to by the person who complained on Monday, later in the day, and we were going to go out on yesterday, but of course, there was snow, and again, still today, so I have not been able to see those damages that this person is referring to. I did drive on Monday around certain areas of town and did find a lot of areas that we still had a lot of ice buildup. One area, I don't even know how this person was able to get out of their vehicle. They had a pickup truck in front of their house, and the ice went from the whole frontage of their property, and probably about a little better than a quarter, maybe almost close to halfway into the street. It's just a shaded area. It's on, I don't know what that, I think it's Settlers, where the townhouses are, where they face the single-family residences. It was on that block, and it was just unbelievable. So, very dangerous, not good for our streets either, as far as it wrecks the integrity of them, keeping the ice on there.
So, I did receive a complaint earlier on about the removal of the ice and the damage to the streets. So, following the proper protocol, I contacted the town administrator, let her know I received the complaint. I also did go out and survey the streets. I did some walking of the streets in addition to riding around the areas in particular. In the last couple of years, we've had about $1.2 million worth of road surfacing work done in different areas of town. I felt that the damage was limited to just certain areas and only certain sides of the street. My profession is a compliance manager. I manage risk. And I felt that there's a bigger risk to allowing the ice to remain on the roads. First, you've got a trip and fall hazard from people trying to navigate. Milliken Elementary School went back to school. So we had children walking in around Milliken Elementary where some of this took place. You also have new drivers on the street. They are not always as aware of when there's ice, what can happen, skids. Damage to property is bad enough. Damage to life and limb, something else can happen. So it's unfortunate that it happened. I don't feel that it is excessive. It can be repaired. There's some striations in the road. There's some areas that are just going to need to be fixed. Part of my conversation with the town administrator has been mostly about what can we do to not only fix what happened, but be a little bit better in the future, because we did get many compliments about removing the ice. And people were appreciative of it, and I think it's a risk to leave it. I thought maybe we could put down sand first or something like that, but in doing some more research, my idea was to get the ice not to stick, and the state of Massachusetts puts down a non-toxic chemical that maybe we can research more. Certainly, I'm just of the opinion that we could probably do better in the future if we could be a little bit more prepared. We weren't prepared for this. This ice has been there for 2 weeks. Something needed to be done. So it's unfortunate, but I don't think that it is at the level that we need to, it's just not, it's unfortunate, but it's not earth-shattering, I think is what I'm pretty much trying to say. If anybody else has comments, please, Trustee Wiesner.
I also walked around, and my concern was not so much the striations in the streets, although I don't think that's acceptable. My concern was the damage on the curbs. There's a number of places around where the curb is torn up, basically, and I don't see any excuse for that. And the question I would have on that is who's going to pay for that?
We have to evaluate the areas because a lot of the curbs we have in the Old Town area were existing problems, existing broken.
Not the area I walked, because I walk that area all the time, and those curbs were fine.
That's fine, and like I said, I'll gladly go out and dictate, but a lot of them repairs we do in-house anyways with our crew. We have a set crew every year that goes out and does a lot of cement repairs. Unfortunately, this is a battle every municipality fights. This is one of those worst case winters where it would thaw just enough during the day and freeze every night. And we expect homeowners to maintain their sidewalks, and if our water from our gutters is impeding their sidewalks, we have to help them. I will partly take the blame. I am new to the area. I'm not familiar with problem areas. We're still learning a lot of where our problem areas are. That's why after every snowstorm, we have a post-storm meeting where we evaluate. We kind of keep track of problem areas. We're working on resolutions to alleviate this buildup next time, hopefully. I mean, we have a few homeowners that I've learned through this process that do work with us, that they usually try to move their vehicles. So after we're done with our main snow shift, we can come through and clean some of them areas prior to the buildup. But like I said, I'll take partly blame with me being new. I'm not familiar with all the areas and all these problem areas in town. It does take a while to learn it, unfortunately. That's why I didn't bring you guys a snow plan this year until I can learn how it's done and what we need to do. I mean, I don't want to put us into a situation we're not familiar with, and I will say it does take me a while to learn it. I mean, there's a lot of places in town that you don't think of until you drive around and find it. So, but I mean, there's been a lot of, I've been in touch with Fort Collins. They have this problem. They've tried a lot of machines. The machines do just as much damage as what we've done. We've actually done less damage with this machine that we used versus a straight blade. The straight blade would have peeled more of this surface up. This surface is actually doing what it's made to do. It's made to be a harder surface, non-penetrating surface. I mean, like I said, it's 3/8 of an inch thick is what this surface is. And a lot of the teeth actually uses more ground pressure in a small area to break the ice instead of a straight blade where you're trying to use so much blade to try and break it. So it's a little more effective. And the hardest part with these poor guys is they're going out there in 7-8 inches of ice. And with that ice already been in there, the roads will heave and thaw. With the freeze and thaw, the roads move. Or they're just old roads that aren't consistent, and it's hard for him to judge as he's going through and breaking it where stuff is sometimes when you've got a big block of 8-9 inch of ice. So, I mean, I'll 100% take the blame that yes, we did some damage, but this surface actually did what we've paid for it to do. It is not penetrated the surface in most spots. It looks worse because it's loose. If you sweep it up, it's just basically striation marks. But the surface does, that's what that surface is for, is a non-skid surface and a hard surface. So, and actually Cheryl did hit the nail on the head. By leaving that water on there, we're actually weakening the whole surface. And the chemical you're talking about, Mayor?
Yes.
I have had experience with it.
Does it work?
It dilutes out.
I'm sorry, what?
It dilutes out. There's a dilution ratio to it. It's most effective when it's the solution you put it. The more water you add to it, the less effective it is.
Okay.
So if it would have sat, if you can do that right away and come in behind it right away, it's very effective, yes. And that's what we're working with our water truck, is going to these chemicals a little bit too. But we're not to that point yet. We're still working on that. So at the point we would have got there, that chemical would have been diluted out, and you still would have had the same trees that you would have now.
Okay.
And with using the slicer we use on our roads, the dry material, the more we throw that on the concrete, the more there is a chance of that actually ruining the concrete. We've had a couple people that expressed concerns with their bushes along their sidewalk because of the amount from prior years of them doing it. So we are trying to find that happy medium. And like I said, I'll take some of the blame. Being new here, it's hard to learn some of the stuff, and I'm still trying to. And through this winter, that's where my hope is. I'm gonna work on the snow plan, and we're gonna work together. I mean, we've got a pretty strong team right now of guys that wanna learn and wanna make it right. So it takes knowledge of everybody to do it, so.
And part of, I'm sorry, were you going to say something?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And part of it too is, I think, with this ice being on the road and we get additional snows like we did, the driver in the plow can't see where that ice is, and you hit it with the plow blade, and you're going to do damage to that plow blade as well. So somewhere, something's going to get damaged, and so we have to take health safety first. These areas of the concrete can be repaired. I'd much rather repair that, and as long as it's not because of us being overly excessive with it or intentionally damaging it. I don't think anybody intentionally damaged anything, but we can go back and repair come spring.
And I will just want to say, I appreciate you guys. I live over on a South Lilac, and the one area is constantly with ice, and it was nice to see the guys out there chopping them up and not seeing cars slide through there. So I appreciate you guys doing that.
Thank you. Well, the guys appreciate it. It was a good feeling for the guys. It was a lot of work. I mean, we didn't get as far as we wanted to on it. We do, like Cheryl pointed out, still have this side of town that has some locations. We're hoping that the weather the next week might help us out with that. We won't have to go in and do such an evasive program. And like I said, that's my goal. I'm in contact with a few other towns and some sales reps of machinery at this point, seeing if there's other options that may work. But it's not real promising what I'm hearing from a lot of them.
So it sounds like it's more of a situation of getting in there as quickly as possible after it snows to get the curbs clear in the areas and pinpointing the areas where we have problems.
And that's what our goal is the next few times, is learning where these areas are, learning where we have to go. We basically have a lot of the equipment. If we can do it right away, it will solve a lot of the problem. Like I said, we're getting where a lot of the homeowners are willing to work with us to move vehicles the next day for us. I mean, it may mean we have to do different shifts during the day in areas, whatever it takes. I mean, it's working with the new, our social blast to get it out there that we're going to be in this area today. Please have vehicles moved. But unfortunately, it takes that one vehicle that doesn't move. That makes another problem. So. And like I said, it was just one of them worst case weathers. The weather was a real big player in it. Cheryl hit the nail on the head. Get just warm enough during the day with the temps that it would melt. It didn't get the sun. And as soon as that temperature goes down, all you're doing is building ice on ice because it just never fully melts down.
Okay. Appreciate you coming in and telling us. Does the board have any other questions at this point? Okay. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Continuing with the town administrator's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I hate to report, our RO plant is currently offline. The Frontier bioreactor has suffered a underdrain failure, and Don can add more if he needs. The carbon from the stage 2 will need to be removed before the water department can isolate the exact problem, which I think they have tonight. They have found, they were sending videos of where there's actual leaks in this stage 2 bioreactor. So go ahead, Don.
Yeah, they sent me pictures this evening. There are 3 points around the edge of the bioreactor, the under drain where the seals have failed. So when we're running the bioreactor on that side, the flow is down and is forcing the carbon media through those seals. So we're losing carbon media, and we've lost about 50% of it. So the treatment degrades to the point where we're concerned that we won't be able to pass a test, and then it doesn't clean well because of the leak. So we've got the carbon out of that side. we'll pull the carbon out of the other side as well, inspect it, and do the repairs on both sides before we start it back up.
So we're out of warranty on this, is that accurate?
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Are we expecting these seals to fail on a regular basis?
No.
Or is this an unusual circumstance?
We had the warranty work done on the stage 1 when the seals failed. The flow there is up, so it was explained to us that the pressure is against the plate, so the seal fail was more expected than the other side. So kind of disappointed that that side failed. And we're working with Frontier to see if we can come up with a better material and probably put some kind of a program in place where we'll take it offline for a period of time. I'm not sure how often, and inspect them and make those repairs if need be.
How long do you expect us to be down?
I'm not sure at this point. It depends. We haven't actually been able to inspect for damage on the under drains. We just know there are leaks. If there's damage, we'll have to reorder those plates, and that's what took us a long time in the summer. It took us a couple months to get those.
So are we going to be covered enough with water from Central Weld, or are we going to have to go to Greeley?
It'll be both.
We will be able to turn up our water coming from Central Well. The good news, if there's good news behind it, it's winter. So there's not a huge demand, whereas the last time we had this happen to us, it went down in June and didn't come back up until September. So if it's going to fail, let it fail in the winter when it's not as necessary for us to have that additional water and hit those peak usages with Greeley. So, yeah.
Okay. Board members, any questions, concerns, comments?
Do we have an estimate on the cost for this?
We don't yet.
And they said
Anyone else?
2021 was going to be better.
Yeah.
That's, I want to start feeling that that is true somewhere. So I'll just keep going.
Okay.
The dog park, we've had discussions regarding the dog park. Staff has ordered new signs for the dog park. Have we gotten those in?
The poop sign is ready.
Okay.
They were?
Well, we've ordered more of those, but
There's
we've
a lot of
also
background
ordered
noise.
dogs regarding vicious dogs.
Can you?
And so
Yeah.
that
I'll put you back
have
on
language
speaker.
in it that's actually in our code. So additional signs have been
Turn
placed.
off my headphones, I guess.
We're asking people to please pick up after their dogs. Our staff is trying to do what we can, but, that's a person on staff out there continually cleaning up after somebody else's dog. We do supply the bags out there. A lot of other municipalities have had it shut down their dog parks for a year because they've had E. coli, and that's all due to people not picking up after their dogs. So we don't want to have to do that. So we're putting it in our newsletter as well, asking people to please do this, plus the additional signage. That'll be in on Friday. We've also installed lights out there just along the fence line, correct, Keith?
Along the fence line and a couple of motion spotlights when you get close to the lot.
Right, so we've got some lighting out there now.
Okay.
I think we've plugged all the prairie dog holes that were out there and taken care of that sprinkler that was kind of hanging out there, and so it should be good. So
When the ground thaws a little, we'll get the humps out. For the most part, we got it.
Have those prairie dogs been relocated effectively?
yeah, in a way.
I'm not really sure if any of those were active.
Okay.
If they were abandoned. I'm keeping an eye on it. If they open back up, I'll remedy the situation.
Thank you.
I know they're on the outside of the fence.
There's a lot of them on the south side of the fence. Have to do something about it.
They don't cross the fence though.
Oh, ouch.
They climb
Our dogs can.
Please relocate those two.
And just so the board is aware, the RFP for the refuse collection will be on Rocky Mountain BidNet on tomorrow, on Thursday. And also published in our local paper. So we will see if we have more than one person offer a bid for our waste collection.
Have we notified the one company that contacted us that was interested that it's going out for bid?
I'm sure that there's, yes, there's Wade.
We've actually been contacted by three additional. And so what we're going to do is we're going to reach out to the three in addition to our current provider, let them all know that it's up there, and that way they can all go out, see what our requirements are, and then make a proposal from there. So we will reach out to all of those people.
That's
All-
unusual, because in past years, we've only had one. Waste Management's the only one that's bid.
Yeah, the one that I know the history on was when it was done in 2018. The bid was pulled down by two other companies in addition to Waste Management. They chose not to bid.
Yeah.
So we hope that doesn't happen again, just to get some competitive bids in the process. But yeah, we are going to reach out to all of them tomorrow and let them know that it'll be on BidNet tomorrow. Yeah, that way they're all there and they can get there and see it.
Are we permitted to find out who you guys have contacted as of yet, as far as the bidding process? Or can we provide you a list of people, of other waste companies, just to make sure that we're reaching out?
So our policy says that we post it, but I don't know that it says that we are supposed to or can or cannot. I don't believe that it states that. I don't feel that that's an issue if we have additional names. The key is to have a contact person. That's the difficulty with a lot of the solid waste companies, like in the area, and especially in the Denver area, is we don't have a local contact, and so when we reach out to them, we get the same voicemail a residential customer would get. But I have no problem, reaching out to people if you have names or something. But normally I would not necessarily go out of my way to reach out to people because most of the way the BidNet works is people sign up, and then when something in their field comes up, they get notified. So, say Waste Man, we'll pick on Waste Management, they're our current people. When they're out there and they've got it, they're set up with BidNet. So anytime something comes through that says recycling or solid waste or trash, they get notified of that. And so that's very common. But like I said, I would have no problem reaching out to.
I think we can do that. I think
To do that, yeah.
If we have names or company, we can always let them know that it's out on the BidNet.
Yeah.
And if they decide to pull down the RFP and submit a bid, that's fine.
Yeah, the advantages of BidNet is we can see who actually downloads the specification sheets and bid information. We can see that and then see how many people looked at it versus how many actually bid. So it's a pretty good tool.
Thank you.
Any other questions, concerns, comments from the board? Okay, keep going. Thank you.
Well, this one might be a little better. I think we're getting better as we go along here. Start with the worst and end up somewhere in the middle. So just because of the recent information that we provided to the school district regarding when they were choosing their high school site, part of that included something that occurred last, February 13th, which was 2 Wednesdays ago. So the former Fleck property, the owners of that are Journey Homes, and they met with staff on the 13th, and they are proposing, it's just in discussion, to build another 800 to 1,000 homes on this property. And details regarding water and sewer services are being investigated. And since it would be a quasi-judicial type thing to talk any further than this about it, I just wanted to inform you that that property, is hopefully sometime in the near future going to have some development.
Terrific.
Same thing with Martin Auto Sales. I've gotten, a little bit of questions here or there. So where they stand right now, all comments have been submitted to them. And in person, we had a meeting with them in person about a week ago, Pepper, yeah, to discuss some of the items regarding the property. It was a very productive meeting. I think it went very well. I think everybody left the room feeling good. So all staff is doing right now is waiting for the resubmittal of their site plan that covers some of these comments that were addressed. The library is going great. So that's probably the most exciting one on here for me. So we've been speaking with Christy Plum, who is the library director for High Plains Library, or the Glennie Jones Library, and they've already have ordered bookshelves for in there. So we're going to have beautiful new shelves, custom for in that building. Lighting fixtures have been picked out. Paint colors we're still going around on those, but a better Wi-Fi system is being set up in there. Steve's working on that, even though he's not here anymore. And the floors are going to be redone on the 8th of February. So we're hoping, I was told the bookshelves are going to take about 8 weeks. We're still speaking with Lynette. She's getting things together to open up the coffee shop in there. And so we're hoping that the reopening will be in March, but I'll keep you all updated. And as I'm sure you've all heard, the chosen high school site is been for Johnstown area. So, if anybody has any questions?
Any questions, concerns, or comments? Okay, thank you. All right, there's nothing on the consent agenda, so on the action agenda, we have our first item, consideration and approval of ordinance number 789, updating the fine and penalty provisions. Matthew Gould, Town Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor Austin. This is an item that was discussed at a work session, a couple of meetings back. As the board is aware, the municipal court was transitioned to a court of record, and that empowers the court to approve fines that are larger than what they have been historically. So at that time, the authorization for the court to impose those fines was passed, but reviewing the municipal code, we found a number of references to old fines and penalties, and thought that it would be best to consolidate those basically rather than have them scattered throughout the code. So that is the main purpose of this ordinance. We've tried to make the language more uniform. There's one other item that we came across, and that relates, we were looking at the penalty for violating the hunting rules, and we realized that the provision regarding discharge of a firearm did not exempt hunting. So that's a bit tangential, but I included that here after talking to the chief of police. He agreed that we needed to amend that. Otherwise, the changes here are focused solely on making penalties and fines more uniform, putting them basically in one place.
Okay. All right. Questions from the board. Trustee Wakeman?
I don't have any questions.
Trustee Rodriguez?
I have no questions.
Trustee Meisner?
Yeah, I have a question or two. Is there any way that this can be made a little bit more user-friendly, if you will?
I read through that about 14 times, and most of the time it just sounded like gobbledygook to me.
Well, let me look at the ordinance itself. I mean, we're amending numerous provisions in the municipal code all at once. So there are some competing goals here, and I attempted to address those by providing a red line that showed where we were making changes. The other goal is to try to keep it somewhat short. And so, you know, that's how it came to be in this format.
I guess my main objection is that, well, just let's take, for example, Fire Code, Section 18-6-50, violation penalty. It is unlawful for any person to violate any of the provisions stated or adopted in this article. Every person convicted of a violation of any provision stated or adopted in this article shall be punished in accordance with the general penalty provisions of Chapter 1, Article 4 of the Milliken Municipal Code. It sends you about 4 different places to look up to find out what in the heck you're supposed to not do.
Can you tell me what section you're reading?
Section, Article BI, which is
Section 18.
6.
Okay.
Article 6, Fire Code. And I just read one of them, and it's that way all the way through. Everything in there, and I realize that this is probably lawyer talk, but it sends you, every one of these sends you to about 4 different places to find out not only what you're in violation of, but what the penalty is. It's like you get run around and run around and run around, and you almost have to be a lawyer to understand what the heck you're reading.
So I can at least address parts of that. The existing code has fines authorized in Chapter 2, which is the block of code that regulates the municipal court. But it also has general penalty provisions in Chapter 1. There are 2 key provisions in Chapter 1. One relates to adults and one relates to juveniles. I did not eliminate the provisions in Chapter 1 of the code. Instead, I simply referenced them throughout. And you're right, in turn, they do reference the provisions in Chapter 2. We certainly could take another stab at it to see if we could eliminate a couple of those layers. The goal here basically was to make it clear that the same penalties apply basically across the board in the municipal code. I did not tamper with the fact that we have a provision that relates to adults and a provision that relates to juveniles.
Right, and I understand that, but I think maybe I wasn't clear enough. Isn't there some way that it can be stated like it says fire code? Okay, where's the fire code? I have to go look up the fire code to find out what it is that I'm violating. Or some of the other ones, the road thing, you have to go and look up that ordinance to find out what it is that you're violating or what you might be in violation of. You know, there isn't anything that, it's not straightforward.
I understand, I think. A couple of additional complicating factors. For example, the fire code is a code that we adopt by reference. The rules that apply to adoption of a code by reference forbid you from adopting penalty provisions by reference. So there is a standing practice within the block of municipal code that adopts the fire code to have a provision that sets penalties. And that's what we're amending here. I think that this is true. We could probably eliminate a number of these provisions and just rely on the general penalty provision in Chapter 1. And that's something I certainly can do. It's just that in this project we were simply trying to make them uniform, not necessarily eliminate existing provisions from the municipal code.
Right, and I understand that. but it comes back to the same thing. You have to go to about four or five different places before you even find out what it is that you're in violation of. There isn't anything in there, and I went through all of these, there isn't anything in there that says you cannot put a something or other in a drain because that's against the plumbing code, or...
Well, bear in mind that there are things that may be in violation of the municipal code everywhere. There's just no way to consolidate those, because that's the nature of a code, is that a violation can be prosecuted. The effort here was just to identify those existing places in the municipal code where there already are specific penalty provisions, and just make them uniform.
Well, it just seems to me like it is unnecessarily complicated. I mean, that just...
Well, it would certainly be, I would be happy to maybe sit down and go through this at a work session again. We just did it once, and maybe identify some specific examples, and see if we get a better sense of what the board would prefer.
That would suit me, but I don't know what the rest of the board feels like. I just felt like it was unnecessarily complicated.
But this is the penalty phase. The ordinance is separate, what somebody may have violated. So we have ordinances that people may violate, and the judge would go to this to see what the penalty may be.
No, he wouldn't go to this to see what the penalty would be. He has to go back to Chapter 1, Chapter 1, Section 4, to find out what the penalty is.
That's what the violation is. This is the penalty, right?
No, it's at the violation. It doesn't state what the violation is. It just says it's a violation. And then it says that you have to go, would be punished in accordance with general penalty provisions of Chapter 1, Article 4 of the Milliken Municipal Code. And what I'm saying is that every single one of these, they're not straightforward. It directs you someplace else. You have to go someplace else in order to find out what it is that you violated, and then you go someplace else to find out what your penalty is.
Well, first you violate, so you
but
get
you
a
don't
ticket.
know what you're violating.
No, you get a ticket or something. The officer writes you a ticket.
I get that.
So you've got a violation. So then you come to court, and so then the judge is going to look at this to see what the penalty is for the violation that you got the ticket.
You're not understanding what I'm saying, obviously. How do you know what violation it is that you are violating?
It's written on the ticket.
Well, how do you know where that came from?
Usually, like, code enforcement leaves you a ticket, or...
Okay, and how do they know where it's coming from?
Who? Code enforcement?
Or whoever writes you the ticket. How do they know what it is that you're violating?
From our ordinances. Like, if code enforcement went out and saw a violation of our fire code, they would write a ticket.
How would they know that they're in violation of the fire code?
Because...
Is every one of the officers trained in the fire code, the plumbing code, the building code, and all the rest of these?
Whoever's writing the tickets would be trained in what the violation is. I'm sure that some of the violations might even come from our code enforcement or from some of our inspection, like ProCode. Would ProCode notice a fire violation?
Yes, ProCode sometimes is involved in code violations, where we've sent notices for building code violations. I think the key point is what you're violating is a provision in the municipal code. And that can't simply be consolidated because the municipal code imposes a lot of requirements and prohibitions just throughout. That's what the code is. This simply addresses penalties and fines that can be imposed for those violations. I agree we probably could eliminate some of these provisions. We didn't create any. These are all existing. I agree we probably could eliminate them just in complete reliance on the general penalty provision. But in terms of identifying what you're violating, that comes from all the provisions of the code.
Obviously, neither one of you understands where I'm going with that, and I'm not sure that I can be any clearer, but so be it.
So what is your recommendation?
Well, I'd like to see us work on this a little bit more, to be honest,
Okay.
because it just,
I'll be honest with you, I understand what Trustee Meisner is saying.
Okay.
And I would request that we table this and review it in the future.
Can do that. I'd take a motion on that, if there's no further discussion. Do you have anything? Trustee Wickman? Trustee, or Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich, do you have any discussion on this item, or do you want to table it?
No, I think table's good.
Okay. All right, so I'll take a motion.
well, then I'd make that motion that we table this. What dates would be a good one for that?
Next work session is taken, so it would have to be the end
The
of,
following work session then?
it would have to be the end of February.
Okay. I would propose that we table this until the work session at the end of February.
Okay.
A second.
Acting Town Clerk, please take a vote.
Trustee Wakeman.
I have a question prior to the vote. Is that okay?
Sure.
Does this complicate anything for court? Make it?
No, I don't think so. We still are subject to some penalty caps, but I don't think that we're prosecuting anything that's going to make this problematic. Yeah. And between now and the work session, I'll do some work to try to facilitate a more thorough discussion.
Thank you. My vote is yes.
Trustee Rodriguez.
Yes.
Trustee Meisner.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich.
Yes.
Mayor Austin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is, item 11B is to set a public hearing for ordinance number 790, vacation of a portion of Beulah Avenue. Pepper McClanahan, Community Development Director.
Mayor and trustees, before you tonight is a request to set a public hearing. The background of this is that we've been petitioned by a property owner to vacate a very small triangle of South Beulah. This is south of Highway 60. This triangle became orphaned when the town in 1975 vacated the south half of Elm Street, which is an east-west versus Beulah being a north-south street, and pretty much orphaned it. So this property owner and the subsequent property owner have been maintaining this property for a number of years. The town, it was never constructed as a street. It was platted but not constructed. And so the recommendation from staff is that we proceed with vacation, and we're asking you to set the public hearing for a date that will allow compliance with advertising requirements, and the soonest we could get that on your agenda would be the March 10th board meeting. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, questions from board members? Trustee Meisner.
No, I have no questions.
Trustee Rodriguez.
No, I don't have any questions.
Trustee Wakeman.
Is this property north or south of the railroad?
It is actually east of the railroad and west of Alice. It's tucked in kind of way back in there. You can't see the house really from the road. It's a little lane that you go down.
Okay. That's my only question.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich, do you have any questions on this matter?
No, no questions.
Okay. Hearing no further discussion, I'll take a motion to set the meeting date.
I move that we set the date for the public hearing of March 10th. at, do we need a time?
No.
Okay.
I second.
Acting Town Clerk, please take a vote.
Trustee Meisner?
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Wakeman?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mayor Austin?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the intergovernmental agreement between Centennial Crossing Metropolitan District 1 and the Town of Milliken. Cheryl Powell, Town Administrator.
Yes, Mayor. This is a intergovernmental agreement with the Metro District regarding Outlet D that is adjacent to Colony Point. This is an area or a section of land that was given to the town as open space, which it's a pretty weedy area right now. And we've received complaints from homeowners from around that area in the past. We've spent a lot of time out there cutting these weeds down to try to keep it looking halfway decent. But we've talked to the Metro District, and the Metro District is more than happy to give us $50,000 towards this project so we can beautify it and get it weed-free and some living things there, and gravel for a trail and a bench or so, trees, shrubs. Oh, this is what this is.
17 trees in there and
Yeah.
a handful of wild roses patch here and there.
We did have a presentation to show you on this outlet, but because our internet went down, we couldn't download it off of our computer, so.
That's unfortunate,
Yeah.
but it does happen.
Anyway, so the only conditions on this is that the money is to be spent within, by December 31st, 2021. And we certainly can do that.
Okay. Discussion from the board. Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich, do you have any questions on the IGA?
I do not.
Trustee Wakeman?
No questions.
Trustee Rodriguez?
No questions.
Trustee Meisner?
I have no questions. Sounds like a excellent project.
Yep, we're pretty excited to get going on it.
Definitely. All right, hearing no further discussion, I'll take a motion.
I move to approve the intergovernmental agreement with Centennial Crossing Metropolitan District Number 1 and authorize the town administrator to sign.
Second it.
Acting Town Clerk, please call for a vote.
Trustee Wakeman?
Yes.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes.
Trustee Meisner?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich?
Yes.
Mayor Austin?
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we actually have 3 items on the discussion agenda. We'll start with Keith Staggs, Parks Director and Go Mill Committee. The Town of Milliken has wayfinding signs and location proposal for us. And I see we have guest speaker Brandon Smith tonight. Good evening.
This guy's got a he has a beautiful slideshow for you.
He did.
Again, another slideshow we won't be seeing.
Pepper found a reimbursement grant for us to do some wayfinding signs. It'd be a lot less confusing with my man Brandon here.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for the time. So as mentioned, my name is Brandon Smith. I'm with the Go Mill Committee here on behalf of the committee. What we did was once there was a $5,000 grant actually from the Colorado Health Department. Once we found this grant, we started working up what could we do that could meet within that dollar range, which also is kind of shovel ready, because that was part of the requirement. We have to spend the money, I think, by the end of March. So I don't have the slides, I don't have that specific date, but basically the first item on the master plan, if you all remember from the recommendations, was signage. If you walk around, you can't actually find where any of our parks are, right? At this moment, there's no signs that directionally where you can get to Ada or where you can get to Centennial. You would just basically have to rely on technology, which as of today doesn't work, right? We decided to set that up as the official proposal to use these funds. And it is basically what we're calling it the Substrate Signage project. So we want to do ultimately Highway 60 also. There are restrictions, as you can probably guess. So we are working with CDOT right now to see what, if any additional changes might have to happen in order for us to actually execute with that. But what we'd like to do is go forward with the substreet signage, which is basically directional signs that help you navigate within the city limits to all of our parks. And so we wrote up basically an estimate of how many signs we would need. Again, like I said, sadly, I can't show them to you, but we have basically they're standardized posts up, so they'd be a metal post with a sign that's a square that would be just like any other park sign that navigates users to central, those central locations of those parks.
So they would look like, just a second. I just picked up my computer and then closed it.
Yes.
Let me try again.
So those are the Highway,
That sign.
those are the Highway 60 signs that we are trying to get approval for with CDOT. So those will be the second ones. If we still have budget remaining, those are what we'd like to do with CDOT. There is a smaller sign that would be the substreet, and those are basically a central post. Central post.
You're asking me to use my computer.
No, you're
so-
fine. That
There you
one.
go.
Yes, correct. So central post with a, it's a brown sign to recognize parks. That is a pretty standard sign across all jurisdictions. And it would also include the town's logo on it.
And they're brown?
They are, yes.
Town's colors are blue and yellow.
I know. We were trying to stick with the standard of U.S. Forest Service, so.
Sorry, just saying.
It is based off MUTCD code, which we do have, since it is on for traffic, it has to go off MUTCD code. The color is based off of that. We really don't have a selection to it.
But that's not the mayor's desire.
I would be more than happy to take streamers and wrap.
Talk to MUTCD because we're trying to do a revision. So I want to see how it goes.
The mayor speaks more freely because this is not a recorded meeting.
As you can see, I would much rather prefer blue myself, so I'm with you there.
Okay.
Just as a quick update to the CDOT thing, we did have a submission for their CDOT specs, and we just found out this week that as of the 21st, their specs have changed.
So
Of course.
we will
That's
be
the
meeting.
hold up, basically. We actually meet Brandon, Gary, and Tammy all had a meeting Friday to read. Basically, the big things with the new specs are the lettering is going to change a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And the number of signs we're going to be able to put on Highway 60 is changing. So they're not big changes, it's just me and Brandon, everybody sitting down together, so tweaking his little spec sheet and getting back to CDOT. So they're not big changes, it's just all of a sudden they failed to tell us as we were going through the process with them that they were planning on changing.
But on the positive note, if we get approval to start, we can start on the substreet signs first, which is the higher priority at this moment, and get those actually in process to meet that deadline. And then hopefully by Friday, we'll have the revisions out for CDOT's approval.
Keith, are you happy with the signs? Any issues? Yeah?
Yeah, I am.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. Questions, concerns, and comments from the board?
I'm just excited. I think it looks very nice.
I do too.
I'm excited.
We can find our way to the skate park.
I have to say that this is something that's been discussed probably for the last 8+ years, that getting those would be wonderful, especially after the skate park was put in, because so many people would stop and ask us, where is that skate park that I keep hearing about? And so we were talking about wayfinding signs, so that's really good. That's really good. And the Heritage House will also have one at some point on Highway 60.
That's what I was going to
Yes.
ask, if the
Oh,
Heritage
yes.
House could go on one of those.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
We've already got it listed out.
Do you? Well, thank you, thank you.
Is the
Okay.
dog park on there? Sorry.
Yeah, they said something about dog park
Is the
in
dog
here.
park on
The
there?
dog park would be on one of the 60, Highway 60 signs that we'll have to work for.
Wow.
Cool.
Any other questions about the signs?
No.
Because that's a great lead-in to our discussion on the dog park that we're about to have.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. no worries.
Thank you very much, Brendan.
Thank you.
Keith.
And do we need,
Scott?
were we needing approval? Is that what we needed for, because, so,
Use of the logo, I think, is what we're looking for.
well, the usage of the logo also, it is a reimbursable based grant. So we do need basically authorization to spend up to $5,000. So I don't know if that comes, how that comes, but that'd be.
I don't think we need to do a resolution for that, do we? We just. No, it's reimbursement. It's
The dollar value approval is unnecessary. We don't need to do anything with that. There's funding for it, and then once we spend the money, we'll get reimbursement for that, so there is no budget implication. As far as the logo, that's outside my expertise, but yeah, the money we're okay with, that's well within the administrator's.
I'd say that's a town administrator decision. It's
Yes, ma'am.
within the guidelines of what we've, so.
Right, and that
Yeah.
all they need really is approval from the board, letting,
Oh.
yes, to authorize the use of our logo, since it is trademarked.
What's it worth to you, Brenda?
$5,000.
I'd like to be able to find the parks, which would be really nice without tech, but.
So I give my approval, the rest of the board
I have
members?
no problems with that.
I have no problems. Is there a way to get sponsors too, to help pay for some of the signs besides?
And so there, if we do it right within the right budget, the grant that we've got from Colorado Health will pay for the entire sign project. But that's the sub signs, I can promise. It's the Highway 60 signs. It depends on the spec that we're gonna have to meet. I don't know what that costing is gonna look like until we sit down and look at
It's
it.
probably gonna be a higher cost for the CDOT because we have to go to wood posts that have to be very quick wood posts. We were hoping to actually mount our smaller signs for our town light poles, but that is not allowed in CDOT right away. So we're building to their specs. It's gonna be a little bit more drawn out process. The sign itself approval is not gonna be hard. The location is gonna be the hard part of the approval. But they are actually gonna be, if I remember right, they could be a little bigger, some of them too. So
Yes.
the pricing is gonna go up. We are gonna go all aluminum with structural reflective, which they have to be because they are for roadside traffic. So the pricing, and once we get a final design, I'm gonna get Brendan pricing, and then we'll know more better value-wise for that.
Yeah, but our hope right now, and based on our initial spec, at least all the substreet signs, basically anything from 60 over will be covered by that Colorado Health grant that we were able to get. Thanks to Pepper.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
That's awesome.
Okay, use the logo.
Cool, thank you.
All right. Now, I received several complaints about out at the dog park, which we have been discussing, I have been discussing with Administrator Powell. We've had fights at the dog park. We've had dog waste that is not picked up, and a lot of it is out of the outer fringes. True, we are putting in signage, but I wanted to throw out for discussion with the board whether we should request the town administrator get bids for cameras at the dog park. The dog park at Evans has much less problem because there's a lot more people out there. There are people who observe other people if the dog waste isn't picked up. And I was hoping that maybe cameras would persuade people to pick up after themselves, knowing that possibly someone's watching them on camera. I can't think of any other solutions at this point because, as we have discussed, it was a dog park in Thornton that had to close for a year because they had E. coli in the dog park, and the dogs will pick it up from the dog park. So wanted to throw it out for discussion and get your opinion on what you think.
Do we have dog fights or people fights, or both?
Well, I haven't heard of any people fights.
Okay.
We did have somebody that
Sorry.
went into Centennial Lake after his dog, and fire department had to come out and rescue him. But no, it's been dog fights. We have an individual with 3 huskies that comes out, and her huskies herd corner dogs, and then it's, dog on dog aggression. We also had a young man who let his dog attack another dog, and when the dog that was the victim, that owner tried to correct the attacking dog, the young man who owned that dog got upset and yelled obscenities and whatever, "Don't correct my dog." Well, it's a dog fight. They were trying to separate it. So it was a rather long text. I explained it as best I could. So that was on a Sunday, and then the day previous there had been another dog fight. So it seems to be escalating.
Well, maybe the people who have the aggressive dogs should be banned from the dog park.
I would agree, and I think with cameras we can identify them. I don't know how else. There was a request, on the signs, are we posting the police department phone number? I don't think that's a 911 call.
Yes, it list, like I said, I wish we had internet. I had tried to send it earlier to Cheryl when the internet went down. So it will list that is reference to the PD with their direct phone number for any issue themselves. So.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's sad because we've got a nice dog park for the dogs to run. My dogs can't use it because they jump over the fence, but.
I spend a lot of time there, and I yell at a lot of people for not picking up their poop. And I am passionate about the dog park and my dog, and I would like to see cameras there because I am tired of stepping in poop. And I don't want to pick up everybody else's poop. Sorry.
No, nor should you.
I think we should maybe think about, this is just a suggestion because I don't go to the dog park, so I'm not sure, but can we post a sign that says, if you don't clean up after your dog, we'll have to close the park, so that people understand the importance of it?
Well, that's kind of what we put in the newsletter a little bit, explaining. And so, and perhaps putting up something that indicates that the types of diseases dogs can pick up from other dogs' feces that are left at a dog park. People that go to the dog park obviously love their dogs, I would imagine, and the last thing you want is your dog to contract something from another dog just because of carelessness or disregard.
And I'll be honest with you, a lot of people don't read the signs.
No, they don't. And a lot of them don't pay any attention to signs. So if cameras would help alleviate, I would be in favor of that myself.
I do think we need to take a look at what kind of post it goes on, because no metal out there. Maybe they can figure out, and because we need to capture the license plate of the vehicle bringing the dog in and
the dog
cover most of the dog park. So
is there a penalty for?
Yes, there is. I already checked. There is a penalty for failure to pick up your dog waste.
Should be.
So we have a couple of options. We have the company that we use. They're going to install the cameras at the skate park. When I was touring Nature's Herbs, I asked John about his security system. It was done in-house, but he also has a company that is very good that we could go to for a quote as well. If we need them, we could contact John Rotherham and maybe get a quote there to see what our most competitive price would be.
As long as it works with the system we have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be the thing. And I'm sure if we approached, is it through Greeley Lock and Key?
Okay.
That we can find out some cameras, probably much like what we're putting up at the skate park, to do the same thing.
Okay.
And that at least we'd know it would work with our system.
Yeah. Mayor Pro Tem Ehrlich, do you have any questions or comments on the dog park issue?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right, so let's get a quote and then maybe we can discuss it further. Protect our assets. Thank you, board members, for you taking care of our dogs. All righty. Next issue we have a planning commission issue. We appointed a planning commission member who has not attended any meetings and provided no input on the land use code that we're in the middle of rewriting. And it's, almost 400 pages. It's a very long process. We need input and everybody to be active members. I've put some thought into this. I discussed it with Matt Gould, and I'd like to get your thoughts on sending the member a letter requesting resignation for non-participation before we go to the next step. So that is one consideration. I'd like to hear your ideas on handling this problem, because we do have other people that are interested in serving, and it's an important position. We can't just have people not showing up. So what are your thoughts?
Question.
Yes.
The attendance policy cover planning commission?
No, but I'm sure we'll correct that pretty quickly.
Okay.
We didn't.
You send a letter out.
Okay.
I agree.
I think we should send a letter out. I mean,
Okay.
I do.
Trustee Meisner, do you have any concerns?
Certified letter.
No.
That way no one gets it.
Okay.
A lot of people don't take certified letters, but, so maybe it ought to be both, certified and a regular
Okay.
mail.
All right, I think we request the town administrator to have our town attorney drop a letter, send it certified mail. If no response is received by such and such a date, then we consider his resignation
Effective.
formal, effective. Can we put it that way? Or do we have to have a hearing?
I would be hesitant to draw the conclusion from a non-response that you have a resignation. I would recommend instead the hearing, if that's what happens.
Okay, so can that hearing take place during one of our board meetings, or does it have
Yes,
to be?
I think so.
Okay.
The statute doesn't really make it very clear. Ideally, we would have our own procedures for that hearing, but I think it's a fairly simple hearing. It just needs to result in a written document explaining the reasons for removal. This is different from removing a Board of Trustees member, and I believe simpler.
Okay, so I think we'd like to get a response within 10 days.
Okay.
Any other provisions that you can think of that we should include? And that'll be taken care of. Thank you very much. We have a community development written report that rounds out our meeting. Do we have any other matters to come before the board tonight? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're done. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for